Why are property prices still fluctuating so much? The answer may lie in the construction industry. Hey everyone, Kim Clutch from Geotax here with another video designed to help you become a better property investor. We thought the property price spikes and fluctuations since the pandemic hit may have cooled down by now. But sadly, in reality, it's the opposite. Major disruptions and events, local and worldwide, have all impacted the market. But one thing that stands out is the recent increase in construction costs. Things like material shortages, increase in fuel prices, and labour shortages have a huge impact on the construction industry. Because of this, builders and contractors are also wary of unforeseeable increases in costs. In this video, I'm going to share with you the building cost changes in every major capital city in Australia, so be sure to stick around. But before we start, we want to be clear that this video is for informational purposes. In no way should you interpret this as financial or tax advice. We always recommend working with a qualified financial advisor or tax agent to give you the best advice for your situation. Okay, first of all, Adelaide. Despite the withdrawal of the federal government stimulus in Adelaide, the residential market is still maintaining strong growth. Approvals and bank funding for residential construction have been vigorous, while interest rates are still low. However, the current high level of activity is still impacting material supply and labour availability, and will probably remain so for the foreseeable future. Hard-hitting factors include the conflict in Ukraine and the floods in the eastern states, which are placing extra pressure on inflation, with another expected interest rate rise in August and September this year. In Adelaide, the following prices have increased. Concrete has increased by 3 to 4%, brick supply has increased by 2 to 3%, brickwork labour has increased by 2 to 5%, timber supply has increased by 12 to 15%, reinforcing steel has increased by 9 to 14%. Next up is Brisbane. In Brisbane, building approvals have dipped a little, while the level of activity across all sectors generally remain high. Because of this, it was initially thought that the price increases would moderate by 2022, but the recent floods may change this result. Also, the recent fuel price spikes has also impacted the recent cost increases. Aluminium windows have increased by 5%, brickwork laying has increased by $50 per square metre, concrete supply has increased by $5 per cubic metre, formworks have increased by $10 per square metre, reinforcement supply has increased by $150 per tonne. Then we have Canberra. 2022 was supposed to be a stable year in Canberra, but it hasn't been. There have been major floods on the east coast and conflict in Ukraine, which have caused delays in getting supplies and rising fuel costs. So this will impact the cost of projects even further. The average price of a home in Canberra is $1 million. The price of land is from $900,000 to over $1 million for a residential sized block in some suburbs. The commencement of light rail stage 2 may also affect the market. Additionally, it's been reported that Canberra needs 3,000 social housing units to plug the most recent demand, which is adding to the instability of the market. Now, let's go to Darwin. The cost of materials is also going up here, and it's getting harder to secure labour and acquire supplies. This is causing issues in the market as construction increases in major defence and infrastructure projects. We forecast an ongoing price rise trend over the short to medium terms until the market settles. Investment in the private sector is still slow, alleviating the pressure on the market. However, this may change once the major projects make progress. Next, we have Hobart. In Hobart, activity and tender levels remain high across all industry sectors, with limited contractor availability and volatile pricing. Tasmania is seeing significant growth and investment. This is great news, but it's causing supply problems across the board. There's not enough housing supply, and labour prices are increasing significantly as it's not keeping up with the demand. This is likely to continue for a while. Then we have Melbourne. In Melbourne, things appear positive and expect high activity for most sectors, except for retail and office spaces. However, there are many factors causing construction costs to increase. These include ongoing supply chain issues, rising transportation costs, and skilled labour shortages. This means construction projects are expected to take longer to finish, and companies will have to compete for more contracts. For example, LVL and laminated beams have increased by 5 to 10%, plasterboard supply has increased by 3 to 5%. Now, let's go to Perth. Perth, like the rest of Australia, is experiencing shortages in materials. Lead-in time for available materials has increased, putting delays on projects. The relaxation of hard border restrictions has opened Western Australia up to national and international tourism and the free movement of labour, which may contribute to stabilising the market soon. All industries are showing signs of a post-COVID recovery. Contractors are experiencing a very competitive tender market but are still incorporating the potential for unidentifiable material price increases. In Perth, the following costs have increased. LVL and laminated beams have increased by 10 to 15%. Insulation supply has increased by 10 to 30%. Plastic pipework supply has increased by 15%. Timber supply has increased by up to 45%. Proprietary steel framing supply has increased by 50%. And last but not least, Sydney. Even though the borders have reopened, the construction industry is still facing some challenges. Like the rest of Australia, this is mainly because of a shortage of skilled labour, supply chain disruptions, and rising petrol prices. However, the border opening is forecasted to help relieve some of these pressures. Also, the rising cost of petrol prices will continue to directly influence construction prices, so it is difficult to forecast when any stability will return. Due to these combinations of factors, it is expected that construction costs will continue to increase in the medium term, although at a reduced rate and trajectory than in 2021. In Sydney, brick supply has increased by 2%, block work supply has increased by 2%, brickwork and general labour have both increased by 2%, timber supply has increased by up to 9%. So there you have it, some insights into the causes of spikes and fluctuations in the property market in every major capital city in Australia. With the federal election and potential change of government, there is still uncertainty about which way the market is heading. So it's important to do your due diligence as a property investor. If you found this video helpful, make sure you hit like and subscribe to our channel for more property investment tips. I'm Kim Clutch from Tax. See you next time.